In its yearly report to Congress, the Department of Defense says the Chinese regime is looking to strengthen its military presence overseas. The department says this could boost the regime's offensive strategies against the U.S. NTD's Miguel Moreno has more on the report.
China's military, known as the People's Liberation Army, or PLA, already has a base in Djibouti, Africa. But according to the DoD, the communist regime is planning to expand the PLA in a way that could disrupt U.S. military operations. The Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense said in an interview with the American Enterprise Institute that China's been making more noise about its plan to build up its military.
Those basing facilities, as you notice, are important. They're testing, they're trying to explore, they're trying to understand, they're trying to devise and come up with plans about where and what types of bases and how they might use those facilities overseas best.
The DoD's yearly China military power report says the Chinese Communist Party is very likely considering building military bases in Myanmar, Thailand, and a number of other locations. These bases could give the regime more support to its naval, air, and ground forces if said countries let it happen. But the DoD is also looking at China's arsenal. The department estimates that China has about a low 200 nuclear warheads, and the CCP plans to double that number by the next decade.
Just looking at number of warheads by itself is not the entire picture, or doesn't paint a holistic understanding of where the Chinese are or maybe where they want to go.
The deputy assistant says the CCP is also looking to buff up its number of ballistic missiles, submarines, and other PLA weaponry. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said on Twitter that modernizing the U.S.'s nuclear force and readiness is essential to a free and open Indo-Pacific region. Miguel Moreno, NTD News.
The U.S. is looking to form a defense alliance on the Indo-Pacific region, similar to NATO. If formed, it would aim to counter China. A State Department official says high-level authorities from India, U.S., Australia, and Japan will meet in Delhi this fall for talks.
The U.S. aims to form a NATO-like defense alliance in the Indo-Pacific. That's according to the U.S. State Department's #2 official.
The Indo-Pacific region is actually lacking in strong multilateral structures. They don't have anything of the fortitude of NATO or the European Union. It is certainly there is certainly an invitation there at some point to formalize a structure like this.
The alliance would be based on the U.S. current strategic ties with India, Japan, and Australia, also known as the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or the Quad. But the U.S. official says the participants could expand beyond that.
The Quad isn't exclusive. I think there's plenty of reason to bring in other countries into this discussion as well. But remember, even NATO started with relatively modest expectations, and a number of countries chose neutrality over NATO membership in post-World War II Europe.
Experts see the move as implicitly aiming to counter China in the Indo-Pacific. But the official says Beijing is not their only goal.
I don't think responding to the threat of China in and of itself, or any potential challenge from China in and of itself, would be enough of a driver, though. It also has to have a positive agenda.
He said that high-level officials from the 4 countries will meet in India this fall. China views the Quad-country alliance with suspicion. Any country that sides with the West, especially the U.S., often faces scrutiny from the Chinese regime. Now, amid the pandemic and China's border clashes with India, all 4 members' relations with Beijing are now in decline. Penny Zhou, NTD News.
A prominent Hong Kong activist says Germany has a special responsibility to defend democratic values and freedom. NTD's Germany correspondent Christian Watson has the story.
On the same day that the Chinese foreign minister visited Berlin, prominent Hong Kong activist Nathan Law came to the German capital. He had a message for Germany: less talk, more action.
Well, it's important that we keep reminding the German public and the government that the appeasement strategy that they've been using, the dialogue-based diplomacy, is not working.
Other countries like the U.S. and the U.K. have recently taken steps to confront China's growing authoritarianism. But Germany traditionally treads cautiously with Beijing. In Berlin, Law joined forces with German lawmakers who are part of a global coalition. The Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China advocates a new approach toward the CCP. Law went into self-imposed exile in London after Beijing imposed the so-called national security law on the city. He's now reportedly sought under the law, accused of inciting secession and collusion with foreign and external forces. Law and his allies want to see Europe imposing sanctions on Hong Kong officials who violate human rights, following the lead of the U.S. Additionally, he said lifeboat plans are crucial. Those would make it easier for Hong Kongers to seek asylum or gain visas.
So I hope that this could be implemented by Germany, and Germany could take the lead to change the Europe in terms of China policy.
So far, as the only tangible step, Germany suspended its extradition treaty with Hong Kong. And some observers say the EU is unlikely to agree on a joint China policy in the near future. In Berlin, Law joined groups like Uyghurs and Tibetans that are persecuted in China for a protest in front of the German Foreign Affairs Ministry.
And we fight this long battle together until we conquer, until democracy prevails, and until every single one of us have our freedom and our basic human rights again.
He said the deteriorating situation in Hong Kong should serve as a wake-up call for Western democracies, and that Germany's own experience with totalitarianism gives it a special responsibility to defend democratic values and freedom. Reporting by Christian Watchin, NTD News, Berlin.